Hello everybody and welcome to another review here on the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to dip on over to the Star Wars comics as they are starting their big new event, Dark Droids, and we're going to start it off with Dark Droids issue 1 by Charles Soule and Luke Ross. Soule wastes no time getting right into the next big Star Wars event here and begins it with a very ominous first issue, taking the point of view of the Spark Eternal, the techno being who until recently was bonded with Dr. Aphra until she was exorcised of it from her friends and Darth Vader, and the thing was forced into a small droid which was released from the Fermata cage when Kira opened it up during Crimson Reign. It's a lot to take in and relies on you having read a lot of the previous events or Star Wars books, being that Soule has been telling one giant continuous story this entire time. But Soule does make sure to explain exactly what this thread is, as the little droid begins by infecting some K2 droids, giving it access to a Star Destroyer and many more droids, which then take over the entire ship and end up killing every living being on the ship. I love the horror overtones here, and Soule is no stranger to adding horror into Star Wars and horror in general, so I'm looking forward to a story that looks to be very heavily inspired by The Thing. Soule also touches on how droids are seen within the Star Wars universe. It's something we've seen a lot in Star Wars media, and how a lot of people just don't really care for them, or just kind of wave them off as servants or tools to be doing things or doing a specific task, with the exception of some of the main characters of the Star Wars story being good friends with droids, and some of the actual heroes of the Star Wars story being droids. I do like that the Spark actually sees this and sees that people see droids in a myriad of different ways, from tools to pieces in an army to lovers to friends, all sorts of stuff, but it doesn't dissuade the Spark from enacting a plan to spread across the galaxy, and doing so gets the attention of Ajax Sigma, who since we last saw him has developed a sort of cult-like church called the Colony of Second Revelation, which are currently trying to seek freedom for themselves and to just be left alone to their own devices, really. This is where Soule really surprised me, since I assumed Ajax was actually going to be the one to do this whole Dark Droid takeover thing, since his appearance in the Revelation special a couple of months back sought to imply that he wasn't really too fond of living beings, being that Jedi were the ones that killed him to begin with and sort of separated all his parts. This development of him into a sort of religious leader is really quite interesting, and I hope Soule dives into it a little bit more across the tie-ins and the main book, since I'd love to see what a droid church is and how it works and what their belief system is and everything, since that's really quite interesting. Pitting them against other droid threats and probably the humans as well is pretty fun too, and I'm looking forward to like a three-way fight. The Spark meanwhile continues to spread and send out other droids to infiltrate the rebellion, crime syndicates and various other organizations, including the Empire. The rebels meanwhile continue to look for a way to try and assault the Death Star, revealing that the information they got from Melton and Bev recently was only a small piece of the puzzle, and they still need a way to actually blow it up, since the second Death Star doesn't have the design flaw the first one did, so they're trying to get around this shield generator that's been installed to help defend it. This is a really smart way to build out how the rebels got the plans for the second Death Star, doing something new with it while also keeping what the movies have told us intact. Soule also drops a neat cliffhanger with the reveal that C-3PO has been infected by the Spark, and the narration we've actually been following through the entire issue has been from him and his point of view, and I think it's really cool that we're finally getting C-3PO to do something in the plots of these books, since really he's just kind of been like a tag along, kind of like how he is in the film. So I like that they're sort of putting the focus on him now and making him the bad guy of all things, which is quite cool. And because he's in it, of course, we get R2 as well. And going off previews and what I've seen of the coming books in the tie-ins and the main book, I think R2 doesn't get infected, so it'll be cool to have this plot where it's friends fighting friends, these really long-lived companions together fighting each other. It should be pretty fun. Charles Soule kicks off Dark Droids with a very Thing-inspired take on a droid uprising, perfectly hitting home just how important all of these little droids and robots are within the galaxy far, far away, even when some people don't want to admit it. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10, so give it a go, as the Star Wars books right now are all quite fantastic, and they are all currently tying into this event in some pretty big ways, so I'm very excited to be covering it here on the Fortress of Solitude.